I was taught early on that it's the journey that counts, not the destination, which I think is true. And well, I think they've been important. If you come from a tiny little island and the moment you realise it's not very big, you tend to want to travel. I think the English like travelling. And but I didn't start till I was 21 when I first left England. And ever since I've been a gypsy, really.
Could you have remained close to home and have accomplished the same things in your life and in your work?
Well, I think it would have been hard, actually. I think, well, in a way, you remain close to your home. If you didn't leave it for 20 years and you go away. I mean, I always look at Southern California because for 20 years you spent your life in a rather black, rainy, dismal city with low clouds over it all the time. Consequently, Southern California looks a special place to me. If you were born here, obviously, maybe you look at it differently. But that's because you take your home away with you. We do.
Why don't we begin by describing the place that you were born? Will you describe Yorkshire for us? What's the landscape like compared, for example, to your surroundings here in California?
Well, it's extremely green compared to California. But the cities, the industrial cities, are really very ugly. When I lived in Bradford, it was still mostly a Victorian city. Then they hadn't done any, they didn't start pulling things down till about 1955, I think, 10 years after all. And it's changed quite a bit now. It looks like the middle of Cologne or anywhere else, actually. But the countryside is very beautiful. It's a lot of parts of it are very pastoral, parts of it are very wild looking. I mean, the moors are very wild. Just a few miles away is, you can walk there from where we lived, is Howard, where the Brontes wrote their novels. And the moors above there, they seem, in a way, once you've walked a few miles into them, they seem as wild and as remote as Death Valley does.
How do you think your work might have been different if you remained on that tight little island?
Well, I think it's hard to get into colour if you live there. The English are not great colourists, because unless they leave, when they leave, they're better, because you don't see any colour. I think it's they're very good at greys. A lot of grey.
Are you suggesting that your palette has changed since you moved here?
Yeah. Oh, it did. Yeah, it did. I mean, at first it got simply brighter. I mean, there were pastel colours at first. But then it got stronger and stronger. Yeah, it's the light and what you see around you, does it?
What brought you to California for the first time?
I came here on a hunch, in a way. Just a hunch that I'd like it. I'd never been before. I went to New York in 1961, and I thought that was wonderful. But somehow or other, I had this vision of California from the movies. I suppose a lot of it was from movies, actually. And but you never quite knew what